Yogah Karmasu Kaushalam.
Hello everyone. So this is Tushar Panchal, CEO of Gujarat Technological University Incubation Center, and I would like to thank UGC Human Resource Development Center of Gujarat University for giving me an opportunity to connect with you and deliver my session on the topic very much important, and in today's era it is now buzzword, that is on startup and innovation. But today we'll look at the various schemes and support funnel available for faculty members also. So I would like to thank Professor Dr. Jagdish Joshi, Professor and Director of UGC HRDC Gujarat University, and also I would like to thank Dr. Neelam Panchal, who have given me this opportunity to discuss on the topic of startup and innovation ecosystem. So something I really want to share about the HRDC's, the contribution towards the overall academia. So I've been, informed and been known to various, the program, like HRDC GU is ranked 15, in India and number one in Gujarat. It is pioneer and created history for its own, the organizing various program like the first of its kind online refresher course in India since 2018-19, and by the time 2500 faculty members have participated in such the programs. It is one of its kind online the refresher program in English language, especially like the annual refresher program in English language that teaching Arpit, that is the with record break of 9000 participants during this 2019-20. So the first of its a kind of online short term course is also on e-content development during this lockdown and during the unlock one also. So more than 130 courses they have developed with the 5000 participants, and also they have their own the kind of the unique PhD coursework in blended mode, mix of online and offline for all their registered PhD scholars. Also this UGC HRD GU was funded by MHRD RUSA grant of rupees 3 crore 33 lakhs, and it is only possible, or you can say they have good collaborations to make this the overall mission successful, and it is has collaborated with IIM Ahmedabad, SPIPA, IIT Delhi and Mumbai, JNU, Delhi University, the Lal Bahadur Shastri National Academy of Administration, Mussoorie, Mumbai University, Narsingh Mohan Institute of Management, InflipNet, SNDT Mumbai University, NCRT, UGC, and many things. Once you see the website of HRDC, especially of Gujarat University, it is very much dynamic. So once again, I would like to thank Professor Dr. Jagdish Joshi ji and his team, who has contributed to make the academia strong and fast forwarding, so that faculty use their strength to utilize or maybe to build our nation through young minds. So in the same way, there is the buzzword nowadays. We may have witnessed a January 16 on which the Prime Minister Government of India has announced that day as Startup Day, National Startup Day. So how this motivates of all India overall in terms of developing a strong and economical, fast moving economical country. Definitely there is no doubt to say it is only because of our youngsters efforts, not only youngster efforts but the mentor, faculty mentor who have guided them, so that they have contributed to the nation by providing unicorns, $100 million company, or we can say they have reached to many country with their products, innovation and services. So to know more about startups, we might have different sessions, but today let me focus on the faculty members, the contribution role, or maybe various schemes how faculties can leverage these situations. So we'll understand this, especially on this aspects. Before that, let me show you the simple points how this ecosystem, when we are talking about startup and innovation ecosystems, so one should understand where is our role, as a faculty or maybe as a academia. So there are multiple, the six, the enablers, or you can say the parties involved in making the startup ecosystems. So likely you can say the first it will start from universities. So university consisting of, the faculties, administrator, and all those, who are making their efforts to make, certain policies or certain, the courses on which, the students and other researchers studied, and ultimately they can come up with certain, innovative, you can say output, which can be translated into commercialization through startup. So universities, play a major role. How they teach, what kind of, the knowledge bank they have, how, their faculties are updated, how they motivate their, students, kids. So this is what important role of university. Then funding organizations, there are central, state level, the government organizations, funding organization. They provide grants and many such, the things, so that, idea can be, supported with funding and other aspects, so that they can reach to certain level. So we'll understand the journey also, but let me start with this understanding, in brief of each aspect. So funding organizations, then the service providers, like, we may say, service provider in terms of, registration of company, or maybe there are a couple of, the private incubation center where they provide co-working offices, where you may take, the in early stage where you are not having any enough space, or maybe as an individual or in early nation, the situations, you may not able to pay higher amounts to have, you can say, full dedicated office. So in incubation center, maybe you can, avail the small desk or small offices at very low cost or economical cost. Then there are certain research organizations. So let me, cite you one thing. DRDO is one kind of, you can say, you know research organization, where they always, keep on doing research on, strengthening India's, the uh, armed forces. So same way, there are a couple of, the research organizations. They do, say, industry wise, sector wise. There are multiple research organizations. They also contribute. How they contribute? So they share their, the issues, challenges, and problem statement to the market, to the society, and who are available in society are students, individual like us, faculty members, and other, the normal people, so that they may, think on this, the problem statements, and they may come up with certain, first of all, you can say jugaad innovation, and then maybe with the help of technology, they may come up with some, the fine tune, the product, or maybe innovation. So that is what, the research organizations and support organizations, like, there are many, where, one entrepreneur or one innovator is getting benefit in another state, but when they need to, start their, the, or you can say expand their startups into another state, then there are a couple of, the co-incubation or such other organization will, invite them, support them, not in terms of money, but in terms of market access, networking, and maybe you can say creating that, the dealer network also. So that is what we can say, role of, the support organization. Big companies also have started their, the lab to invite all the innovators with the help of their CSR fund. They are creating, they are contributing to the startup ecosystem, and there are multiple, such, the companies have started, like, the HDFC has their own startup program, where they give almost 35 to 50 lakh rupees to incubation center, and through incubation center, innovators can, leverage, or maybe they can be, sanction related or required grants for their startups. Not only a grant, but HDFC has, started their own startup e-platform also, where startup can register, and they are, creating a huge marketplace, not only into the banking, or you can say financial services products, but of every aspects of emerging technology, and which can be, upcoming future market, like we are, doing shopping on e-commerce. So gradually, I'm sure HDFC will have their own space, where there are many such, the sellers and buyers will be available, and they may contribute in this way to the creating a healthy startup ecosystem. So there are, Reliance Jio has also started, Tata has started, many such, the companies, they are giving back to the society by utilizing their own CSR fund. So these all are, the parties involved in, developing our startup ecosystems, and it will start from ideas, inventions, research, startup at various stage, early stage, mid growth stage, and the growth stage. Then the various, the entrepreneurs in terms of first generation, or the family entrepreneurs, or maybe you can say uh, school friend, college friend, they may become, the entrepreneurs. Then the other team members also crucial. So team members can be from any, this, the parties involved. So team members, students have started, their journey from university, and maybe they can have a different, the members from research organization or from any industry to be, director of that, the startup company. By the time faculties are in, like just providing help, and we are not getting anything, students only remember how my, faculties or professor have guided me, and because of what I have reached to, a successful startup. But is this enough? We all are, the individual. So definitely there are a couple of requests, being sent by a senior professor to AICT, and through a thorough discussions, AICT has formed one committee specially for, the National Innovation and Startup Policy, and into it we know for individual and, the students, innovator, researcher, there are policies, there are grants, everything available. But what about faculties? What about academia? Those who are really, contributing, those who spend almost 4 years if you are in engineering, those who are, you know maybe, 2 years, those who are in MCom, MBA, or in any other, the master degree. But still we just need to support them, or maybe we are contributing through some, the research papers and patents. But still government has, thought of, and they have come up with a national innovation and startup policy, where they have added a point, you can say, especially for, the norms for faculties. Especially one, institute, higher education institute should allow a faculties. Definitely there should be some mechanism. So for, creating the mechanism, there are, the broad, the rules they have framed and given us to the universities and higher education institutes. But still micro level procedures and, the protocol or mechanism being, given to the institutes. So institute, university, depends on their own, the philosophy and situations. They may, modify that mechanism, and they may set their own mechanism to support, to what we can say, to inculcate the brainchild or brains from them, to with their students team, we can say. So let me show you. So these, there are a couple of norms which can be, given to all these, faculties, faculty related, you can say, startups, they may join, or maybe they may not. Okay, so we are talking about a national innovation and startup policies. So there are various, the norms they have created, a committee has suggested and created. So especially for entrepreneurial activities, for better coordination, definitely as an individual we must have, like we are just, providing mentoring, and we are just providing support. So we should have certain, the entrepreneurial, the incentives to all our faculties, not only in terms of, you can say, monetary, but definitely non-monetary is also required at certain point. So norms for faculty, should be created by the institutes. Only those, technologies, especially to be taken, should be taken for faculty startups which originate from within or the same institutes. It should not be like, in X, you are working with X institute, and there is one good innovation, happened in Y institute, and now you would like to join that particular institute, and then you may become director or part of their startup. That is not possible. They have clearly mentioned only those technologies should be taken for faculty startup which originate from within the same institute. So definitely it has been clearly indicated that as a faculty you should be part of your own students development. You should be part of your own higher education institute where you are affiliated. It should not be like the other institutes. So role of faculty may be vary from being in an honor, direct promoter, mentor, consultant, or as an onboard member of the startups. Institute should work on developing policy, as I already mentioned. Like they have given us the freedom to institutes. In the same line, they may create their own mechanism or they may develop their own policies. There are two IITs or almost all IITs have adopted the faculty innovation in entrepreneurship policy. We'll look into this after the slides. So institute should work on developing policy on the conflict of interest to ensure that the regular duties of the faculty don't suffer owing to his or her involvement in these startup activities. So definitely as a faculty we should not forget our main roles and duties, so that it has been clearly mentioned that wherever you are associated, that should be policy, and it should include conflict of interest also, that or maybe declaration kind of that duties of their own the classes, or maybe the assignments, or maybe like exams and many such things we need to do, and it will not be going to suffer because of this the involvement into the startup related activities. So this is what they mentioned. Then as a faculty startup, they may consist of faculty members alone, or with students, or with faculty of other institutes, with alumni, or with other entrepreneurs. So at least one student from your institute should be part of that startup. Then only you can join. Or it may be alumni, or maybe you can say any other person who are from other institute. Then fine. But at least one students should be part of your that startups. Though that tag of that host institute should be there. So you only will not carry the tag of faculty of that particular host institute, but there will be a student member who will be representing the host institute also when they form the startups. So this is the a possible way they have mentioned. Like faculty startup may consist of faculty members alone, with students, with faculty of other institute, or with alumni, or with other entrepreneurs. So this is what for better coordination of this entrepreneurial activities. Keeping in mind, you are not as a faculty, be irresponsible on your roles and responsibilities, duties of faculties. So again, they have given a certain the things. Second point is like faculty, or maybe stay threshold the executive or managerial position for more than 3 months in any startup, then it will be, or maybe they will go on sabbatical leave, or maybe you can say leave without pay, or maybe utilize existing leave if they are having available. So you may take the leaves, or maybe more than 3 months. Obviously you need to pass through some mechanism, and then only it will be clear. And host institute have clearly prepared the build their own policies including all these aspects. When you are associated, when any faculty can join, at least certain the success stories of that startup pattern should be there, or maybe you can say early stage prototype, or maybe some basic the POC, proof of concept prototype should be developed, and then if it is able to commercialize, then only this faculty should be part of it, not in early stage. Just you can say utilizing their own energy in very early stage may be difficult. So you can mentor them and have that faith, have that coordination, so that when your ideas of this student team are getting better and better, and then you have supported them so that they have reached to a successful or maybe a validated prototype, and then definitely one should go for the startup registrations. At this point, when you are joining as executive or managerial position, at least for more than 3 months, then only you will be considered as you are going for sabbatical or maybe leave without pay or utilizing your own existing leave. But if you are being part of that startup as a non-executive, then you need not to be you need not to take the leaves or anything. You just need to spend hours after the academic hours, institute hours, office hours. Then you may contribute in your the best possible way. So kind of you can say the part-time the uh, you can say a director. So it is a non-executive where you are not having any monetary things involved in it. So that is the thing all faculty should take care of. Also, that should be separate. You can say distribute ongoing research at institute from the work conducted at the startup. So sometime what happens, whatever you are doing along with your faculty members or with others, you know, and if you are doing certain what we can say that ideas coming out of this research, so then it should be separate. It should be clearly separate and distribute your ongoing research. It should not be same where ongoing research is going at institutes. So it should be you know uh, different from what you are being part of any startup or company. Now, in case selection of a faculty startup by an outside a national or international accelerator, a maximum leave. So generally, being faculty and higher education institutes, they are only worried about the leaves and everything. So that's why they focus on this leave part first. So as a sabbatical existing or unpaid or CL or EL of one semester, maximum leave of one semester or a year, 1 year, or even more depending upon the decision of review committee constituted by your own institute. So again, coming back to your own institutes. So whenever now after this session, definitely as a faculty you may have certain ideas like how I can be part of any startups, how I can contribute, how I can utilize my own skills, which can be ultimately useful somewhere to any startups. So you may talk to your institute, your authority, to have such mechanism within your institutes. So definitely we were in initial time 6 months or 1 year, that may not be much or many faculties involved in it, but definitely one should be initiator. And if anyone has to start, if anyone has started, then gradually other faculties also being part of this. So there are many workloads we as a faculty has, but still if you have that passion to become, or we can say to be part of entrepreneurial things, then definitely and this is what we can say the NISP has broadened the spectrum for all the faculty members, so that any higher education institute may not stop you also, and maybe they will not kill your passion generally. So this will support you. So definitely you can talk to your institutes, you can refer to NISP policy, which will be useful for you as well as your institutes to frame certain the common the policies. So this is the important point which we have discussed. Then faculty must not accept gifts from any startups. They should not accept any such gifts or anything. Faculty must not involve research their own. Now coming back to the institutes, as a professor or at senior professor, we may have supporting staffs. So when you are part of any startups and you need to complete or you may need to do certain works for that startups, so that work could not should not be involved or should not be done by your own institute staffs, research staff or other staff of the institutes. So this should be keep in mind when you are giving them. Then definitely this is your own work, this is not of institute work, so you should not involve any other staff from your institute. It may create problems sometimes, so better not to involve other research staff or other staff members. And human subject related research in startup should get clearance from ethics committee of the institution also. So generally when you are doing this uh, as a psychological imbalance, or you can say as an individual you are doing multiple things, then definitely how you are going to utilize your own resources, institute resources, so that this is again you need clearance from ethics committee of the institute also. The any human subject, if they are considering into that research, that should be get it cleared from the ethics committee also. So this is what I have just taken from the NISP, National Innovation and Startup Policies, the norms for faculties startups. So look at this, the successful, you can say, the IITs. The IIT Delhi was the first institute who have started a faculty innovation and research driven entrepreneurship fire scheme. So this is I have just taken from the Indian Express source. So this story was been published in 2019. Look at that, 2019. And then IIT Madras, again they have started things 10 years before. So during this 10 years, look at this, total 95 startups, IIT Madras faculty have started by their own, along with the student, along with the alumni, and look at the valuation, 1400 crore rupees. So this is again I have just taken from Hindustan Times, which was published on 2021. So just 6 months before. So this all motivates. Though we may have questions, we may be part of the MBA, MCom, management, the courses, how we can contribute. So that is one good questions I have received from couple of the management faculties. So being I am also the management faculty, but as I become the CEO, so every time whenever innovators are coming, they are coming up with certain technology innovations. So in initial time you may have problems, but after 6 months in 2016, when I have started my journey with the incubation center, I realized they are innovators, not entrepreneurs. Why? Because according to me, they are technocrats. So technocrats or innovator to entrepreneur is very much difficult the journey, because it includes various management the aspects. They should have a certain managerial skills. Otherwise they may fallen down or maybe create problems in commercializations. So this way I personally feel a management fraternity, management commerce, this all allied faculties fraternities should start their own things, because ultimately when product is being developed or when product is completed, they need to convince, they need to take opinion from whom? Consumer, customer, market. How to convince, or maybe what we can say, how to access the market, how to attract the market towards our product. Who knows better than management faculties? है ना? We have spent 20 years, 30 years in our field. Still, maybe we have just uses certain case studies to teach how to convince consumer, or maybe we have seen other consumer behavior 10 years before, 5 years before, and now. So we know the trends of consumers because of this the transition of 10 years, 5 years, or maybe during lockdown also we have seen how consumer are now worried about their health. So this is being we should implement these all skills to this innovation, to these startups. Definitely faculty can contribute a lot. So we can say we can take the example of the Zoho. What is that? The faculty members, especially from the commerce, finance, they must know what they have created. whatever the manual process or the consulting kind of work going on across India, not across India but across world, they have come up with one the web platform with the utilization of one, you can say, a technology. So maybe we don't know technology, it's fine. If we are not, it's fine. We may hire some the web platform the persons. There are some the freelancers. You may give them idea what kind of the things I need in my website or in my platform, so that whenever any individual are coming or accessing our website, they should clearly understand, and they can fill their all the details. So they have become within short period of time, they have joined the club of unicorns, you can see. So this is what the clear example how management, commerce, accountancy field can contribute to the startup ecosystems. And this is again, you can utilize your own, you can say, skills. So after this, let me go through the couple of the slides on various innovation sources, at where the sources are available and everything. So this is what we have understood. Ki student or any innovators get exposure or culture at where, at university, college, school, in innovation ecosystems, from where they may have ideas and innovations. So you may consider yourself also being part of the exposure. You have certain the policy NISP, or the open freedom of being part of the innovation and startups, and then maybe you can translate your ideas or innovation into reality. So you need to be part of pre-incubation, and maybe ecosystem building is also creating. So ecosystem building is where everybody is supporting each other for their own aspects. So here competition is not available, because in early stage you need exposure. You need to validate your idea and innovation. So that is what the ecosystem building. Common infrastructure is again like incubation center, where you need not to have your own offices at the cost of 10,000, 25,000, 50,000 per month on rent in Ahmedabad city, if we talk about. But you can be part of this incubation center when you may have dedicated the small offices, or the shared desk, where you just need to pay only 5,000 or 3,000 rupees per month. So that will be fine. In early stage maybe you are lacking with the funds and money, so this incubator will play a crucial role. Startup culture, again, when you are part of this pre-incubation or incubation center, then you will have all the other fields or maybe other the startups, so you will be part of the the startup culture. Then student startup is also initiated since 2017, especially in Gujarat, and in many states they have started focusing on the student startups. So you can join this student startups as a faculty members to be part of that startup. Then actually you can form your startup, which is again nothing but decentralized incubation, acceleration, or maybe whatever you are making in your startup, it should be linkage with market and industry. Then there should be policy support also for all these things. So the faculty was missing in previous, so that's why this NISP just came in 2020, August 2020, and the various funding aspect also opened up. Startup India is also in on this January 16, Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji has announced the Startup India seed funding of 900 crores, especially for this year. And out of that, there are various incubation center who got the approval to run this SISF, that is Startup India seed funding, and that funding ticket size, we can say 50 lakh rupees, up to 50 lakh rupees for startups. Those the early stage startup or the startups who have not got more than the 10 lakh rupees the grants, especially in their the state, they should be, or maybe they are eligible to apply for this Startup India seed funding. So where they are require certain rules and regulations, you may check also. Then scale up is the last, you can say, regulatory, finance, public policy support, and these all are being part of scale up. So this is how it works overall, you can say, support funnel. Then, if we talk about pre-incubation, is nothing but sensitization on capacity building on various, the technology and other aspects. Collaborative research in innovation and startup is should be now, focused. So you can, be part of, or maybe you can give certain industry problems to your, the students, where they may, come up with some collaborative research. Then skill development for innovation and startup is again, so skill development startups are also available. Those who are not knowing how to, do creativity and innovation, there are multiple startups who provide training programs on, skill development, like robotics, Atal Tinkering Labs. The Atal Innovation Mission has started Atal Tinkering Labs. So before, students, go to college during 11th and 12th, under the Atal Tinkering Lab, this school children will have, access to all such, the fascinated technology, so called, so that when they are into engineer, they will think ahead of this. Otherwise, right now, what happened since, 2015-16, before ATL's establishment, when students join the engineering, then they are feeling under, pressure. Okay, what this all, the jargons and, the terminologies. But nowadays, during 11th and 12th, gradually, monthly once or twice, they will have certain, the various sessions on, technology, robotics, drone technology, emerging technology, AIML. So school children now, understanding AIML in 11th, 12th. है ना? So this is what skill development for innovation in startups. Then pedagogical interventions for innovation in startups. So pedagogical interventions, like whatever the methodology you are adopting, as a teacher, as a professor. So you should have certain, pedagogical things for innovation, like industrial Sodh Yatra can be done. है In management commerce, we do industry visit. Can we change it to industrial Sodh Yatra, where students need to observe, in a group of 5 or 10, they need to observe, identify, discuss with the company, and they need to come up with, one report along with the problem statements and also the probable solutions. If it is, generalized to the overall populations. If we talk about the research methodology, like, sample and the universe population. So as a sample, we may have, visit one industry where we understand their problems, issues, and everything. Or maybe at first sight, they may not, consider it as a problem, but maybe we can, give them more, the flexible and comfortable solutions, or more advanced practices also, whatever they right now adopting, maybe it become, the traditional. So you can do this as a sample, and maybe once it is validated at this one industry, and then your innovation may be, generalized to other industry also, other companies of that same industries. So through this, instead of only visits, only students, go there, and just in a group, they visit the departments and then come back, and maybe they, have some reports also, like we have visited this, early morning 6 a.m. we have left from this place to that place, and they have welcomed well, they given us good lunch and this and that. Instead of this, if you really as a, need to have a good, the results and output, then this should be done industrial so the other, where in faculties and students can, come up with certain, the problems along with the solutions, and can be presented to industry. If it is, validated, it is accepted, then definitely nobody will stop to commercialize it also. Then same way, project to product products, as I, mentioned, like, country study report was, in our MBA curriculum at GTU. So what we do when, when we give the topic as well as one country, so either they do import, either they do export. So they need to, create a project also for getting the marks, but it is compulsory to, at least they need to do effort for doing import and exports. है ना? So this is required because whatever they are studying already available in, the books and everything. So we should have some pedagogical changes and interventions. And early stage funding is nowadays, very much easy access, especially in Gujarat. है ना? So it should be back up with, you can say a policy, not policy, but early stage, you can say market access, early revenue, or maybe for prototype development, design also, you can do this early stage fund. You can access to early stage funding from various resources available. The point which we have discussed, the various policies and all. Now, where, the faculty need to focus, the way forward. So look at this, the invention, so new things which you are doing. So invention being known as jugaad in our India. Yeah, small things whatever we do. So it is just the time being adjustment. But now how this jugaad can be translated into innovations. You know, so there are one example like just briefly cite you. So that is like the automobile where the engines are being repaired by mechanic and the person supporting staffs. So when they are opening the screws or some parts, no, so it will be fallen down within this inside the engine. So how to drag that the screw or something which was inside. So the magnet with thread was used. So this is called jugaad. By tying the thread with the magnet and just got inside get inside that particular area, a chamber where the particular things being fallen down. Then you are dragging slowly and you are ready. So this is called jugaad. If I ask for this thread and magnet and I'm starting the selling of these things, then nobody will pay me because it is easily copyable. I can do by my own also if I have the magnet and thread. So this is called a jugaad. But when I'm making this, as a you can say one stick kind of thing, adjustable stick, or you can say one the pen which can be extended to one stick kind of things, then maybe somebody will pay me 10 rupees or 20 rupees. है because on the toe it may be magnet, so you can keep in your the pen also in your pocket also, or maybe in your toolbox also. Whenever required, you just drag it and you can have that. In addition to this, this is called the level 1 we can say of innovation. Now level 2, generally maybe where this kind of the situation happen where I need to use the the magnet in the same you can say garages, then maybe sometime inside that engine chamber very much the darkness. So we may have one a light kind of thing, small light at the top. So light can be on and then you may see, as well as you can drag that particular things from inside. So this is called level 2. Again, I may modify. You can see the this the various product in same line on Amazon also. There is one pen which includes the writing the pen, one torch kind of the light, and that pen can be extended like this, so it will become the certain length the stick. So now this is one utilization utility which I have said. Now same thing can be used for elder person also. When they are at the night, nobody with them for going washrooms or for going outside, when they are, or maybe some electricity problem or anything, so they may have certain problems. So they may have this stick every time they open the light to see where the electricity switch and everything. Or maybe when they are not able to walk without some support, so this pen can be extended and become the stick for them, and they can with the help of the stick they can walk also. One more example, simple example if I can say, then if their keys or specs or something and fallen down on the the floor, and then they need to pick it up, but due to the age maybe they are having some problems or they cannot bend, so this can be utilized as one of the purpose. So these all are purposes. This is a same line of you can say design thinking. How you are designing your thinking is important. Before going to the various schemes and money and grants and everything, there are many, but your thinking should be designed properly as per the market, as per the consumer need, as we are teaching our students. So IPR is new for management things, but still it is nothing but safeguarding your own intellectual property. Whatever you are thinking in your mind should be safeguard. So there is you can say IPR Act in 1970 was the introduced, where intellectual property rights. So this is your right. This is the concept which came in your mind first. So you should have some privilege. So IPR said if you are designing something, products or new things, so it will be with that individual for at least 20 years. After 20 years, that particular concept will be expired and it will be open for everybody also. And so within 20 years, you can do licensing, you can sell your idea, or maybe whatever design you are making, nobody can copy it. So maybe you can lead the market, like the monotonous kind of the monopoly market. So this is IPR. Then POC, prototype, as I've explained you. MVP is nothing but minimum viable product. You should just ready with basic features, and easily market can accept it as it is. So that is called the minimum viable product. Then early stage product, you need to finalize when you get the feedback on your MVP, and then you design your final product. And parallelly, you can have your own enterprise, like a limited liability, the partnership, or a private limited company. These are the two options right now for startups. They can do also one person company, but maybe you will not get a startup recognition from Startup India. So this is way the forward. And now look at this various the innovation interventions, on which state level interventions like top level policy patronage already available. Innovation fund, student innovation fund is also being under process of government. Linkages with various ministries and agency support links, these all are required as a the faculty. Then documenting and codifying the best practices of your own the work or startup which you are doing. Linking existing incubators, not only TBAs, but linking existing with TBAs with universities also been required, so that the faculties can leverage this technology business incubator. TBA stands for technology business incubators. Then incubation and specialized institute linked to university effort. So maybe like IIM is doing well, say for example. So definitely other institute or other university should link with this institute, so that this specialized skill can be understand, and maybe we can start working on our own startup venture, or maybe along with students. So that is also the intervention state level, you can say. Celebrating the efforts, awards, success stories, platform to showcase. We generally do all these things, but still our faculty should be awarded now, efforts and everything. Then link global best practices, systematic outreach for all students also required. Systematic outreach for all means what? If you wish to do, if you wish to have your own startup, then it's not overnight game, like today I'm thinking and tomorrow morning I'll have my own startups. No, you need to set forth certain goals, objectives through your students, because maybe as alone. So whenever we do the assignments and project, we may give certain case studies to study, review, and come up with some the issues, challenges, and then maybe one day you may discuss on solution also, the probable solutions. Why any one technology happened in any one country, you know take time to be get launched in another country. It's very much you can say time consuming the process, but still it happens. Like whatever technology Denmark has adopted, we may not have right now the access of that particular the technology, because of we may not be ready with all the infrastructure required to utilize that particular technologies. So these all are how we can link, and maybe systematically we outreach with our the students. So that is also being taken care as things. Then external linkages with industry, private sector is required. Then global exposure for all students, innovative startups is also like the nowadays it is now easy. And maybe a student exchange program, under student exchange program, students can take part in this, and maybe they can have the global exposure. Monitoring the overall environment within your state, and extend all support to innovations is also being taken care by the state. So whatever innovations you do along with your team, along with your students, along with your alumni, will be monitored also. They are coming up with one good, you can say, the platform where you can access how many ideas you have started, or what is the status of it and all. Then university level, maybe student innovation council, and these all are you may uh, implement. But base part is like institute level, from where you are belonging. So scouting based innovation from campus annually you can do. and maybe through this the exploration you may come up with good idea where you are also liking. You may have thought of someday like this is good idea, I should contribute. So this way you can do annually, and then maybe in one or two innovation you may take part as a faculty. Then prototyping IPR facility within the institute already there. Culture building through workshop, hackathons, conferences and all. So hackathon is maybe new for management and commerce things, but still it is nothing but they just need to create certain codes and everything in IT field for particular the IT related solutions. Then provide support inclusively to all sectors. We should not restrict to all like our course is in management, so we should be only part of management. No, you can have healthcare startup. You may have AI/ML based startup. It's very easy nowadays. AI/ML, IoT, embedded or emerging technologies are somewhere or in 10-20% they include the management concepts also. है ना? So it's fine. You may we all as a faculty are that much clever enough to understand any new things very quickly rather than taking times to understand. So it's fine if you really have that passion to be founder or they have the company as a startup, then you can we all can do. Then miniature DIY labs also been made available to all management students, management faculties, so that pre-incubation things can be happened over the college. Like we have our kids, and like in schools there are a couple of the competition where they need to come up with certain cardboard kind of the small the projects. So this way in colleges also we may have certain such the miniature kind of the labs, miniature prototype the competition, where you may ask them key existing product design, say for example product design and packaging. So you need to come up with one good innovative the packaging of this company product the packaging, and we will invite the company's person and they will evaluate, and the best team will win. So this way we are not creating startups, but we are making them creative. Okay? So if they are creative, then definitely they will come up with a good the idea in the coming time. Then integrating innovation to startup through co-curricular efforts. So co-curricular allied the efforts like projects, so market fest, project fest. So these all are like integrating innovation to startups, and maybe will be helpful also. This all pedagogical I already included. So there are various the schemes and all. So academic courses on this innovation and various the MOOCs, online Coursera and all other the Udemy. These all are platform available who provides good the startup related courses. Now sources of funding. So coming back to this, as a faculty we are also earning. Right? So we may save certain money from it, and maybe bootstrapping is the option. We can say we are putting our own money if you have. Then there are grants and other support, like in Gujarat startup the Gujarat policy is there, where any individual can avail up to 30 lakh rupees the startup funding for prototype, product design and marketing. So this can be like you can be part of the team, and you can pitch over there. There are 30 plus incubation center in Gujarat and nodal institute for this startup the Gujarat, where Gujarat University is having their own GUSEC where you can apply and get the things, and a startup Gujarat funding. Then debt financing, equity, these all are, I need not to say anything to commerce and management faculties. We all know how we can take the loans and other the support of angel investors and other persons. Crowdfunding is almost illegal in almost every country, but still being to understand the concept is nothing but we are asking the money. Like IPO is also one kind of crowdfunding, where companies are asking money from the market, and they are sure to have the good returns, but not happen every time. So crowdfunding initially was started like chanda ikatta karna, the same way this is nothing but the collecting the monies in unorganized or from unorganized market and the system. Then IPR filing support, SSIP funding, student startup innovation funding is also available. So they have included faculties to for support and all research scholars and faculties. Then IT is policy. So there is the DST Gujarat, the website where you can have IT as policy. If you are coming up with say for example the this kind of the startup, like this IT related website or only this application, then this can be the scheme where you can get the support. MSME business incubator support is also available. So one can take the business incubator support where up to 15 lakh rupees being given if your idea is or idea startup being selected. So this is all about, you can say, the available the sources and schemes where you can apply, where you can get the money. These all are other schemes, you can see this. So Samriddhi scheme, Startup India Seed Fund, Startup India Initiative, Aspire, Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana, Ministry of Skill Development, Entrepreneurship, Atal Innovation Mission, Multiplier, the grant scheme MGS, Credit Guarantee Fund Trust for this CGT MCA, Software Technology Park is also available. Then venture capital assistance in our Gujarat, that is called GVFL, Gujarat Venture Finance Limited. So you may take the benefit of this GVFL also for venture financing. Then loan for rooftop solar PV power. So if you are doing certain the projects, so I have just taken few things. Sir. So industry wise there are many. So I have just taken like one example of one the you can say scheme of the rooftop solar. If you are working on certain solar related projects, then there is the schemes loan available for these things. So there is now a difference between loan and the grants. Grant, in terms of grants, when you are taking the grants, so incubator may take certain equity or some fees, you know, or maybe after when you become you can say a successful revenue generating startup, then only they will take certain the stake at least 1 year or 2 years, 2%, 3%, 5%. But if you go to a private the investors, then they may their range of the stake or in the company in the startup will start from 5% to 30%. You know? So again, if you are taking a private investment or in bank loans, both are at the end at the same at the same level, you can say. Then dairy processing, I have just taken one product called the scheme dairy processing infrastructure. Then support for international patent also available. If you are going for international patent, then the cost is up to 1.5 lakh rupees. So out of 1.5 lakh, you may have 80% kind of subsidy benefits of this total. So you may have this money back once you are applying for this international patent. Then this is also new generation IEDC is available, Innovation Entrepreneurship Development, where Entrepreneurship Development Institute of India is EDII is working on it. Single point registration scheme is also available. Modified special incentive package, SIPs. Startup India, Stand Up India scheme is also there, where the networking and market access will be made available. High risk, high reward research grant is also available on Guj Coast, where maybe our management commerce project are not being that much considered. And in our cases in management commerce the fraternity, UGC is generally providing minor and major research grants. you know. But still now Gujarat Guj Coast is also opening up their own the social sciences and allied allied research these schemes. So soon we will have various policy, especially for management and commerce also. Then dairy entrepreneurship development the schemes, ARDA, NCEF refinance scheme is also available. So that is IREDA NCEF refinancing schemes, where you are at SME level, small enterprise kind of thing. When you need to become medium kind of enterprise, then you may have your second or third loan for developing your business. Then CLC SS is again credit link capital subsidy for technology upgradation. So this is also being mostly used by the technocrats. So these are the sources available for all of you. And if we talk about at the end the startup development phase, how it works. So till one like -2, -1, 0, and 1. So up to 0, the process will be at your college, when students are with you. When they are 0, you also need to decide whether I should be part of this product project or not. If you are yes, then definitely your journey starts from this 0 and 1, in between 0 and 1. you know, when you are giving your commitments, mentoring and everything. So here the startup phase will starts for validation, and later on look at this, the product market fit, where validation, scaling, and then the growth stage where you are actually establishing the enterprise. So this is what you can say startup development phase. Then again, if we divide into this different part, then look at this. There are three the phases. If you start this the startup: formation, validation, and the growth, that is scale. The idea and co-founder team formation will be in the formation. What, to whom, and why, and how, what to do, and everything will be there. In validation, you are actually creating minimum viable product, and maybe you are validating through pilot study, or maybe to iteration, when you are having the changes. Okay. So again, like if you are being part of this, look at this. Look, this is the flow of, you can say, the startup journey. 100 is to 1. So engaging 100 startup, incubating 30, accelerate 10 startups that they are reaching seed funding, almost 3 startups, local angels and national VCs. So this is how it works. So definitely you should be selective in whatever the idea or innovation you need to be part of. Every idea doesn't work always. There is only 7 to 10% successful ratio in across India. Based on certain resources. So resources for related materials, if you require certain templates and everything is made available at Startup India websites. Atal Innovation Mission is also made available certain good readings and everything. DST, Government of India, Department of Science and Technology has also provided various the linkages and various programs through which you can upgrade yourself. Then Startup Gujarat is again they have their own uh, you can say the mechanism and funding guidelines. And then Y Combinator is also a foreign the thing that we can say we school. Y Combinator is also one of the important and useful tool, not tool but website, definitely. So you may have many such the tools, methodology, how they adopt or how they process the startups can be understand from this Y Combinator. And Silicon Valley, obviously, like Silicon Valley is Makkah of startup. So during their life, every innovator startup has the vision to visit at least once the Silicon Valley. So this is all the resources available. So that's it. So I thankful to the UGC, HRDC, Gujarat University team for providing me this opportunity. If you have any doubt or anything, definitely you may reach out to my this email address is already mentioned on this slide. And overall, if I can say, startup ecosystems required commerce and management faculties desperately, because innovators have the technical knowledge, but definitely a business and management knowledge can be provided by our management the fraternity only. So thank you so much for having listening to this my interactive discussion. Thank you.